So good evening, everyone, and welcome virtually to this workshop. I think we would have loved to host this workshop in person, and maybe going further, we will. We also are very humbled to see an overwhelming participation for this workshop, and I'm sure it's going to be very exciting and a great learning experience for all of you. I'm Dr. Priya Nagraj, and I'm the CEO of Pune Knowledge Cluster. We are an entity established by the central government of India as part of a national initiative where there are 6 NO clusters in different cities in the country. And collectively, what we do is we work as knowledge enabling and knowledge management organizations. We bring together partners in and around the region that we work in this case, Pune, where we bring stakeholders like academia, researchers, industries, NGOs, civic bodies, and schools and governments, and try and understand how we can get more organizations to collaborate, how we can get organizations to work together, leverage their science and technology capabilities, both infrastructural as well as intellectual, to work for the betterment of the community. We're about 3 years old, and over the last 3 years, we have built partnerships with over 80 organizations, both within India as well as outside India, going beyond, of course, the region that we work in. The space of STEM education is very special to us. In fact, when we were incepted, a broad area that was identified for work was capacity building. And over a period of 3 years, we've really found a lot of relevance and value in investing in the STEM education space, more specifically trying to understand what it would take to adopt new pedagogies, learning methods, tools in the teaching and learning process. Our strength as a cluster really lets us, because of the collaborations that we are able to build and the organizations we reach to, we are able to understand the capabilities of these organizations. We're able to understand what their strengths are, what they wish to share with the community in the larger sense. And in many ways, workshops like this are a testament to that. So we're able to connect stakeholders who are privileged, in fact, to have the means and methods to gain that kind of knowledge and experience and share it with a larger community of teachers, of stakeholders, of beneficiaries, sometimes even citizens, so that we all can learn and work together. Today's workshop is very special. We conduct a lot of teacher training workshops. We also work very closely with various schools, especially government schools, in collaboration with certain government bodies also in the Pune region. We have with us the founders of a very special school called DLRC, Meenakshi Dalmia, Ajay Dalmia, and we also have Sarita Ragde with us here today. And the DLRC is a very special school which has been implementing a lot of what we speak about today as part of NEP, as well as part of practical hands-on evidence-based learning in their school over many, many years. I've personally been privileged to be privy to that for a few years, but I believe that this is something that they have worked very hard to achieve, and I feel that there is a lot of benefit in sharing their experiences and sharing their learnings with a larger community of teachers like you. I will leave it up to my colleague Prachi to introduce them formally. I hope you all enjoy this workshop. I hope you learn from it. And we really look forward to doing more such initiatives and activities with this team. I'm also very happy to see participation from pretty much all over India, not just Maharashtra, in this workshop. We have teachers joining us on a working day during probably also just post-school hours, today. And thank you very much for that. And over to you, Prachi.
Thanks, Priya. So yes, as Priya mentioned, that today's session is very special. We have experts from DLRC. So DLRC is a Drive Change Learning and Resource Center. And we have with us Meenakshi Dalmia. She is the founder of DLRC. She holds an MEd from Boston University with a distinction, Waldorf training from California, and several other degrees in education. Mona has spent 20 plus years working in varied education systems as she journeyed from USA to Singapore to Bali to India. Mona envisions and drives the creative and educational curriculum and continuous professional development of teachers at DLRC. And DLRC has been NEP compliant from inception. She curates workshops and teacher trainings for schools and educational institutes across Pune and India. She is renowned in the field of education for her clarity of thoughts, in-depth knowledge, ideation, and her ability to manifest ideas into reality. In 2022-23, she has conducted several workshops for many schools to how to implement NEP effectively. We will be also joined, or we also have with us Mr. Ajay Dalmia. He is also the founder of DLRC. Ajay holds an MBA in Marketing and Finance from the University of Michigan and MSc in Mechanical Engineering from University of Akron, Ohio. He has done his graduation in Mechanical Engineering, and he is passionate about maths and drives the application-based pedagogy of maths at DLRC. Welcome, Mr. Jay. And we also have with us Sarita Ragade. She holds a bachelor's in food science and nutrition from SNDT University, Mumbai, and a master's degree in hospital administration from Apollo Hospitals, Hyderabad. Sarita has developed a new curriculum, which is a mix of sciences, geography, history, cultural immersion, environmental sciences, music, and movement, building into sciences, arts, etc., called as a thematic unit for primary grades. And in 2023, she has conducted several workshops for many schools on NEP. So I welcome all of you for these workshops, and we are very happy to have you all here today for the session. And over to you, Meenakshi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prachi. Thank you, Gayatri. Thank you, PKC, for getting us over here on this platform. Ajay, Sarita, and I feeling very privileged to be here today. Amid so many educators, I see we have 109 people now, right now on Zoom, and it is quite a privilege. So thank you. And we hope that the next 1.5 hours that we're together are going to be rewarding not only for you, but for us as well, as we journey together to understand our national education policy a little bit deeper, and to the point where we can comfortably begin to implement it in our schools. So let me begin. Shall I, Prachi?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So I want to first say thank you for filling out an initial form, I think that Prachi and Prachi might have sent to you all, in which you answered the question about what is it that you want to know about NEP. And we read all of your responses, and we have tailored our presentation to answer most of those questions that you have answered. Some of those questions may not be answered in this session, but we're happy to hold many such sessions so that, subsequently we can understand all the various elements of NEP more comprehensively and then begin to implement them. So here you go. So a little bit about DLRC. DLRC was conceptualized and designed and started by Ajay, Pawan, and myself 9 years back in Susgaon. We are based on a farm, as you can see from the picture. And what we have really wanted to always do, since Ajay and I lived in Bali earlier, is to have a school in the middle of nature. So that the children can experience all the seasons, whether it's rain or heat or cold, and our kids are out there playing and studying and learning and doing all kinds of things in all the weathers. And that was one thing that we really always wanted. That naturally puts them into the context of environment literacy. And that is a very important aspect of DLRC. When NEP was proposed in 2020, and when we read it, we were surprised to see how many elements that we had instinctively or intuitively put into our curriculum were there in the NEP. And that was really a very awakening moment for us. So we're really happy to be able to share our knowledge with you. And we hope that, you will learn it too. So National Education Policy 2020, this is the third education policy that India has proposed in the last 50-60 years. Today, we are going to talk about how to make this particular national education policy more relevant and, relevant and relatable to all of us. So before we do, I have a question for all of you. You can type your answers in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and talk. My first question to you is, what do you think science is unique as it, and then I would like for you to fill in the blanks there. What do you think? Science is unique because?
participants, you can type your answers in the chat box or raise your
Sure.
hand. We can unmute
Yeah.
you.
We are beginning to get answers because it's omnipresence, it's universal, it's life based on nature, correct? Because, because it covers all the aspects of life. You're absolutely right. And science does that. Great. Wow. Yes, it's invention. Correct. It's discovery. Yes, and it promotes critical and logical thinking. Correct. Absolutely. It's relevant to our lives. It's universal. Correct. Yes. Oh, wonderful. If integrated with other disciplines. Great. Thank you so much. Great. Now, I'm glad that you came up with those answers because as we go on, we'll find that similar ideas are imbibed into the national education policy, so which is wonderful. And then my next question to you is, mathematics is important because you can also unmute yourself and talk. It's a tool for life, tool for learning, part and parcel of every aspect of life. Yes, applies to everyday life. It helps to understand patterns. Absolutely correct. And patterns are everywhere. It's thought provoking. It's important for the development of brains. Nice. No doubt, parents want the children to learn mathematics all the way. Logical. Nice. Without math, no life. Wonderful. Thank you, Deepak. Day to day, life useless. Problem solving. Very good. It's an applied science. Yes, you're right. Here's your good connection that mathematics is actually applied science. You're right. Yes, wonderful. Thank you all so much for those responses. It's great to know the level of the audience, and so our dialogue can be accordingly. Great. Thank you so much. But then some people, some learners believe that science is boring. Why do you think some learners believe that? Why do you think they might find science boring? Because it's not connected to life the way it is taught. Rote learning. Because they only restricted to book and rote learning, correct? Unable to connect to real life situations. Absolutely. Oh, wow. Yes. I'm going to read this answer. Science is boring because it is often taught without the excitement of hands-on experiment, real-world application, and the thrill of discovery. Thank you. They still do not know its connection with day-to-day life. Okay, fair enough. Maybe because their ability to understand abstraction and creative ideas is higher. Absolutely. Understand concept but not proper express. Okay. Lack of imagination. Oh, wow. Great. I know, right? We're totally missing storytelling in science. Thank you so much. Yes. Good that we have these ideas. And yes, you're right that there are so many complicated diagrams that we don't make easy for the children to learn, for the learners to learn. So yes, they find it difficult. Lack of creativity. Thank you. Thank you. That's very nice. And then the last question is, teaching mathematics is challenging because, and it's from your perspective. You are the teachers. Why do you think, or if you don't believe that, that's great. But if you do believe that teaching mathematics is challenging because, and what might be your responses? It's poor basics. Wow. Yes. Conceptual understanding, conceptual knowledge, need to teach at students' level. Yes, you're right. Students have a preconceived fear of math. Yes, it's more abstract. Absolutely. It may appear to be more abstract unless it is connected to life. Basics of the teachers not clear, or basics of students not clear? Yes, because we can't bring real life examples to show them how math is taught. Wow, thank you. If the foundation is wobbly, the house falls. Wow, beautiful. I'm so excited to read all of these responses. That means we're going to have a superbly successful interactive session today. Basic concepts not clear. Thank you. Great. Yes, too much of restriction to the classroom as compared to laboratories. Teaching mathematics is challenging due to the need of convey abstract, address diverse learning styles. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I think that was beautiful. That was really nice. Yes, we feel it's an abstract subject. Absolutely, you're right. Today, we will try to see how we can make it more relevant and more real life for you. So hopefully you will get more ideas. So we'll move on. Thank you for all your responses. Okay. So today, what's in store for us? Today, we're going to understand the key elements of the National Education Policy, which was proposed in 2020. And we kind of tailored this to answer most of the questions that you had asked in that initial form that you had submitted. We're also going to take a deeper look at experiential pedagogy, which is the engine that is driving the NEP train. And then we will have a group activity, which is in line with NEP to be implemented in your classrooms. And how will we take it forward? So, of course, currently, now, we'll go over a few slides and discussions about NEP and what is the entire pedagogy, what are the various ideas which are presented there. Then you will all get into breakout rooms and you will do a little group work. We've kept it small, keeping in mind that, time may be a constraint. And then we'll have a reflective session. I hope this is okay with everybody. Thank you so much. All right. So before we build, let's secure a foundation. I'm sure all of you know what VARC is because I already saw some of those responses to the former questions. So, oh, I'm sorry. You see 4 pictures on the screen. Can you tell me what VARC stands for? The VARK. All of them have a different meaning and associated pictures are on your screen right now. What do you think V stands for? Okay, visual, yes, correct. Visual, A, auditory, R, K is for kinesthetic, correct, and R, no, not reflection. Reading and writing, correct. Thank you. So this is a way for us to understand the most basic thing about learners and human nature is that all of us are really different from each other. All of us learn differently. Some of us are highly visual learners. Some of us learn by listening, by hearing. Some of us learn by doing, by using our hands more. And some of them are big readers and writers, and that's how they learn. So in a classroom, in any classroom, when we are planning our lessons, we have to look at whether are we catering to all kinds of learners in our classroom, because in any classroom, even if it's a class of 20 students or of 40 students, we are bound to have learners who have dominant learning styles. So are we planning our lessons in a way which is catering to all learning styles? Are all kids leaving our class? Are they leaving having fully understood the concept, or are we only catering to an auditory style of learners because our lessons are didactic, or are we making them too kinesthetic, or are we making them too readers or writers, or are we making them too visual? So anytime when there's a too much of something, it's kind of unbalanced. So we will strive for a more balanced approach to learning and teaching, and that is the most beautiful part of our national education policy, which states that all learning should have a balanced component of all learning styles. So the key principles of NEP are these. So we've summarized the entire, so there are a few different documents in NEP. One is a really long 344 pages. Another one is a 66 pages. We've summarized all of that into PowerPoint presentations for you. So most important key principle of NEP is inclusivity, equity and inclusivity. The policy states that doesn't matter which part of India kids are from, doesn't matter which background they come from, doesn't matter what state they're in, doesn't matter what learning styles that they have. We as educators have the responsibility to include them into the learning. And how we do that is then obviously taken into account, and we'll see in subsequent slides. So respect for diversity, as you all know, of course, India is one of the most diverse countries in the world. And also because of our diversity, everything is so local and it's so contextual in the locality that we live, in the cultural realm of things. So how do we bring all of that? Because, if we currently we're in Pune, and, or maybe you guys are from different parts of India, but wherever you are located, I'm sure you have your own special festivals, your language, the way you live, the food you eat, the places you visit, your temples, your religious places, all of them have a very strong connection to you. But then shouldn't those be brought into the education system, because kids need to learn about them? If we do not, if we remove those things from our education system, we are actually cutting off the entire cultural aspect of our learners life. So that is one very important part. Then equity and inclusivity, which I've already spoken about. Community participation, we often leave behind our local communities. We think school must be in isolation, but really learning and education can never be in isolation. It is connected to every little thing, to our environment, and to the people around us, within our systems. Of course, we have to use technology now because technology is everywhere. It's changing rapidly. Of course, perhaps we never need to really keep up with the change in technology, but having basic education of how to operate technology is becoming more and more important. And that is why we need to bring it into our system. Then very important part of another very important principle is the emphasizing on conceptual understanding. So any content material that we are bringing to the lives of our children, currently we have a large syllabus that needs to be covered within a year. And because of its vastness, we tend to hurry up things. And in that hurry, sometimes a lot of understanding is left behind. So in subsequent slides, you'll see that the NEP also states that we should reduce our curriculum and emphasize more on conceptual understanding. So for example, at DLRC, what we have done, we've mapped all of our concepts in our yearly plan, and we give adequate time. We give almost a month to every concept. Sometimes we'll end up integrating other concepts in a particular topic so that more topics can be covered together. But we definitely give a lot of time so that children truly understand the concept and not just focus on the rote learning. Now I want to also touch upon another very important point here, is whatever we are teaching in a class, whatever pedagogy we are following in our classroom, it all comes down from the kind of assessment that we have, or the kind of assessment that we are preparing our children for. So if we are preparing our children for a rote learning method assessment, which asks answers to what, where, who, why questions, then obviously the children have no other choice but to memorize those and answer them. But if in our assessment, we begin to ask more application style question, why does it matter? What happens if A and B are mixed together? And similar application questions, then rote learning no longer remains valid, and we can move on beyond that. And that is what we are talking about in the NEP also, is continuous assessment and assessments that have been removed from rote learning and are more application based. Unique capabilities, of course, we are also moving on to understanding unique capabilities of students. And as in my subsequent slides, you'll see how we can do that. Critical thinking and creativity, definitely. These are the big key principles on which the NEP has been laid. Now, innovative pedagogy. So what is new? How do we transform all of that? How do we bring all of that into our classroom? Right? So there are quite a few very important things. And even if we did a few of these in our classrooms, it's wonderful. You'll be thrilled to see the transformation. So the most important part is the experiential learning. Now, experiential learning will cover a little bit more in detail after a while, but experiential learning is the engine that drives the entire train of NEP. Because what is experiential learning? After all, it is learning by doing. And when we do things, we understand it better. And when we do something, we can think about it, whether I did it right or wrong. And then we can improvise upon it, and then we can do it better. And we can apply that learning to different situations. So that is experiential learning. Integrated pedagogy. Now, if you're going to reduce the curriculum, we have to make sure that we are integrating various other disciplines into our pedagogy. So, for example, storytelling and narratives, art with STEM, songs as hook, subject integration, for example, social studies, English, sciences, they can all be beautifully integrated to create units of learning, or even in any lesson, like, there needs to be a good planning where you can integrate various subjects together to make learning more holistic. Another very important idea is promotion of peer tutoring. Now, these have several layers. The first layer is within your classroom. We think that we have the entire responsibility of bringing all the learning to the learners. But is that really true? Have we tried having children teaching children, children learning with each other, working with each other, kids who've understood something, transferring that knowledge to children who've not understood it? So a lot of peer tutoring can happen there. Then in some societies, children do not have a huge parental support at home. In that case, can there be study groups formed so that peer tutoring can happen, so the kids are not left behind, but they teach each other? So why just worry about parents not being able to help? Why should the entire responsibility of learning be on the student, on the teachers and the parents? If we can empower every learner to learn on their own, and not only learn on their own, but to also inspire others to learn, I think we'll have a beautiful ecosystem of learners. And I think we can, as educators, we definitely can do that. Another important part of the pedagogy is equal weightage. Equal weightage means that right now, currently, if you look at your own timetables in your school, and I'll be happy to show ours, where we've given equal number of lessons to each of the subjects. So in middle school, for example, in grade 8, we've got the 5 big subjects: science, social studies, English, Hindi, mathematics, and then we've also have Marathi, we have sports, we have trek, we have several such things. Now, what we have done is that instead of giving more prominence to the academic, so-called academic subjects like mathematics, social studies, sciences, we've actually built in equal number of sports periods, equal number of hands-on periods, equal number of track periods, equal number of art periods into our timetable. That just gives this entire, it completely changes the scene with not emphasizing on the academic subjects, but giving equal importance to all kinds of learning. And that is so important, because that is what is holistic learning, and that's where all kinds of learners can benefit from. So just starting from your timetable is a wonderful way to start. Another important thing is the bagless days. What are bagless days? I know I would love to actually get your responses also on this, but there is an activity that we've planned, so I'd like to go through this. Bagless days can happen in various ways. Bagless days can happen when we are celebrating our cultures. So we plan activities where the children are just immersed for 3-4 hours, half a day, full day in the culture, in a cultural festival, in an activity which does not require for them to bring their bags. Or we take them on a study tour. Or we, for example, on a series of days, we have students go and engage in vocational learning. We go and engage in vocational learning so that they don't have to bring their bags. They can go and they can shadow another professional. So there are several ways by which we can do bagless days. And of course, use and integrated technologies, lots of videos, audio visuals, right? Then we move on. Now, this is really important: ensuring universal access to education at all levels. So one very important thing is multiple pathways. What is multiple pathways? Currently, we have a very formal education system, and that is what we think is the sole agency of imparting education to students. But could there be multiple pathways? Imagine a situation where we have formal schools, we have alternate school systems, like this one says alternate centers, which are breeding grounds for innovation in education. We also have our seniors or senior citizens or grandparents or parents, engaging with the students. We also have small, homeschoolings or unschoolings. There's several other ways in which children can get educated. um, we also need to also look at building different types of schools, like for example governments and non-governmental philanthropic organizations, to build different types of schools. Currently, if you look at our schooling system, we have the same type of schools, right, which are just based on a board. So we have, what is the difference between schools? They are different from the board that they follow, whether it's a CBSE board, ICSE board, SSC board, Cambridge board, IB board. But do we envision schools such as an agricultural school or a vocational school, or a technologically based school, or a robotic school, or a sports school? Why don't we have schools such as these, where children who are learn that? Uh, yeah, this will also help to bring back the dropouts, the kids who've left schools, the different types of schools. And okay, now, so to do a lot of this, currently our existing academic structure looks like the one on the left, where we've got a big block of primary school, then 10 years of primary and middle school, and 2 years of 11th and 12th. And 11th is 12th is usually looked at a junior school, and it is sometimes not even part of regular schools. Many schools don't have 11, 12 in their schooling system. So it just is like a little separate, and streaming begins there. But according to the new structure, we are saying that we should have 5 years of foundation stage, where we build the foundation of students through playway systems. Then we have 3 years of middle stage, where we do a lot of experiential learning with the students. Then we have the secondary stage, or the high school as we call it, which is from 9 to 12, so that it can be multidisciplinary. Children can choose the subjects and don't have to be streamed. For example, at DLRC, because we follow the Cambridge board, our students are able to choose any subject, any combination of subject. It can be physics with history and mathematics, or it can be chemistry with geography and English. So that gives them a chance to shine and study the subjects of their choice. This I've actually already covered now through, but you see this little train of NEP, and it is the engine is the experiential learning, which is learning by doing. What NEP proposes is that we must have interactive classes. We should include critical thinking into our curriculum, and we just need to focus on the core essentials. If we just focus on the core essentials, then we can actually, if you look backwards, if we begin with just the core essentials and not worry about so much of syllabus, then we can actually bring in experiential learning. We can actually bring in interactive classes, and can actually promote critical thinking. Right. Another very important aspect is the mental and physical health and well-being. And you know that due to COVID, a lot of these things, we keep blaming COVID for all of our mental and physical unwell-being. But there has to be, now we need to do something about it. We can't just leave it. And even otherwise, all of us come from diverse backgrounds. We all have our own stories, and that could lead to different mental and physical health and different standards of well-being. So schools need to now have regular health checkups. They need to also reduce the weight of school bags, and that's only possible if we do multidisciplinary, or when we reduce the curriculum. We need to include mandatory skills of health and well-being by talking about health, about nutrition, about physical education, and all of those. And we really need to include sports in our curriculum, note so that the children are playing out in the sun, getting fresh air. Also, NEP is strongly proposing the need to hire counselors who will help children to not only talk about their psychological needs, but take care of their mental well-being, but also help them to chart their college journeys, their further education. There are children with disabilities. How do as schools, we become more inclusive by including them? And inclusive and caring culture at school, all the teachers, all of us need to upgrade ourselves, upskill ourselves to learn how to talk to children, how to care for the children, how to listen to them, and how to help them have a thriving well-being. Another very important part is the knowledge of India. Now, there are two aspects of it. There's traditional India and there's modern Indian knowledge. And this is a very, very brief summary of this part. There's a whole 2-3 pages written on this particular part. But, we live in a country, and it doesn't matter which country we live in. I think if we were in America right now talking about the American education system, then this would be knowledge of America, which is really important. As citizens of any country, we should know about our country. We should know about the traditional knowledge that India has, and especially the tribes. We go on mining, for example. We don't understand the ecosystem of our forest. But if we understood the tribes that live there, we'll understand the forest management, we'll understand natural farming, we'll understand all of that. We have so much of value system in the ancient India. We have our medicines coming from ancient India. We need to bring all of that into our curriculum. In modern India, we need our children to understand our constitution. What does it even say? What does it mean to be an Indian citizen? What is our role? What is our responsibility as an Indian citizen? We need to understand that and bring it into our curriculum. We need to understand our environment, our habitat, how our actions are affecting the environment. All of that need to be brought into the curriculum. Now, this is really beautiful, but I think let's take like a 2-minute pause, 2-second pause, and collect our energies. Okay. So up till now, when we go into a classroom, we see ourselves as a subject teacher, and we have a textbook. We may have one textbook, two textbooks, all of that. But our textbooks are only way to teach and learn. This is what this particular slide talks about. And I absolutely love this slide, because this is the way for us to learn so that we can bring that holistic learning into our classroom. So what the NEP proposes is, currently all of our textbooks have the entire syllabus, right? If you want to teach the topic of friction, your chapter will have all components of friction. There is no need for anybody to go out and learn more. And also because there is so much content on that particular topic that you don't have any more bandwidth to go out and learn more. So to change that, going forward, all textbook will contain only the essential core material to capture the core essence of that topic. So then how do you learn everything else? From outside of the textbook. When we go out of a textbook to explore other avenues of learning, we are also teaching children to become self-learners. We are motivating them to go out, explore, and learn on their own, and not be dependent on the teacher or the textbook for their learning. So that's what this first point is talking about. Also, it states that the curriculum should have more local context. What does friction mean in our local context? Or what do plants mean in the local context? Why certain plants grow in a certain region? Why do we dress up in a certain way? If we could connect all of that, the children will have more holistic education. There are several platforms that the NEP has associations with. There is one called Diksha, which is a digital version of a teacher resource. In fact, if you log into Diksha, you can log in with your phone. There's an app, you can download it. And it has tons and tons of lesson plans, which are NEP aligned. And you can download them and you can use them in your classroom. And it has lesson plans for all the topics that you can think of. Also, I'm sure all of you have heard about NCERT. NCERT is our national governing body for education. They are the ones who decide the curriculum, the syllabus, and what the textbooks need to have or not. And currently, the NCERT is going through a lot of change. Because our syllabus is changing. We're also decolonizing a lot of our curriculum. So NCERT is another wonderful resource, and we'll show you some of that resource later. And because of all of these things, imagine if we didn't rely on textbooks, our kids will already have reduced weight of books and schools. Then we're talking about examination from grades 1 to 8. What the most important part that you need to take away from this slide is that we need to really move away from rote learning. So we need to move away from the what, why, where, who questions and focus more on application-based questions. For that, I think we can have a session on this where we learn how to develop the learning objectives. All of you are teachers, so you may already be aware of how to do that. So having a very targeted learning objective for each lesson and then assessing that is what the examinations from grade A1 to 8 we are aiming for, and having them more regularly. Now, what about examinations from 9 to 12, including the board examination? So currently, nothing has really fallen into place. We were hoping to have a change by 23 board series, but we are not really sure that that's really been implemented. But I think a change is beginning to happen. Like I've heard about 10th board examinations getting dissolved, right? So board exams will be made easier. Now, how will they be made easier? That's really important. You have to understand. So the first thing is that mathematics exam is being proposed to be taken at two different levels. So there's a core level and there's a advanced level. So all children can learn mathematics because of that. Viable models to be explored are annual, semester, modular exams, two-part exams, objective type and descriptive type. So, even if children are not doing well in a particular type of exam, they can gain marks through another type of exam. Yeah, there's a wonderful website called Parak. Parak is a national website for regulated assessments all over India. And that is, it will be kicking into force once NEP takes on. So that's another very big thing. So right now, we are not close to where this is being proposed, but we are getting there. Of course, multilingualism and the power of language has been proposed that we should have at least 3 languages in our curriculum. The languages of India should be brought in. For very young children, their mother tongue should be the medium of instruction so that they're connected to their roots. Now, all of it is only possible when we are also looking at school complexes. So schools, rather than being isolated bodies, how can they become clusters and how can they become community of schools? So we can have shared resources, we can have common governances, we can have more efficiency in resource management and resource sharing. We can have better integration between different schools. Imagine if you could integrate or you could partner with your local school systems, then you could together build a stronger schooling, right? Then developing the short-term and long-term plans. Also very beautifully, they propose that in a school, we can have a Bal Bhavan and we can have a Samajik Chetna Kendra. So the time when the school is over, after that, why are we not using our school campuses for community events? So that is something that is being promoted. Then the next one is teacher education. So I'll just take a water break. Please give me a minute. Thank you so much. Thank you. I just needed some water. Okay, any questions so far before I move on, or I just have a couple more slides and then we will move on to the next part and have a question answer round? Okay. So some of you wanted to understand more about teacher education. What does it look like to be better prepared for NEP? So currently, if you've completed grade 12 and if you want to become a teacher, you can enroll in a 4-year integrated B.Ed program, which is Bachelor's of Education. So Mumbai University, Pune University, several universities have these programs where you can, for example, you can do BSc and B.Ed together. In this case, if you did BSc separately and B.Ed separately, it would take you 5 years because 3 years of BSc and 2 years of B.Ed. But together, it becomes a 4-year program. So then you can actually get an integrated degree. If you already have a bachelor's degree in any specialized field, then you can do a 2-year B.Ed. If you already have a master's degree in any discipline, then you only have to do a 1-year B.Ed degree to become a teacher. So this is what is being proposed, and that actually all of them are already implemented. We have a very special person on board, Garima Singh, who understands the entire university ecosystem very well. And if you have any specific questions about these, she will be happy to answer. Okay. I think all of your teachers, so you do understand that there is a national testing agency who conducts all the exams for the teachers for their eligibility, and based on their ranking, they are able to go to the REIs, which are the regional education institutes, which are national institutions, or they can go to state education institutions. But there are many new places that are emerging now for teacher education, and this is what is really wonderful. I also want to talk a little bit about the focus on socio-emotional, economically disadvantaged groups, which is termed as SEDGs. Now, as you all know, now with so much of population, we also have more apparent gender identities, which are becoming more and more prevalent every day. I am currently taking a course on alternate sexualities, and in that I understand there are so many different types of genders that people identify as. And how do we include all of that into a school system? Or we have so many different socio-cultural identities, such as we have scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, the other backward classes, or the other minorities. How do we make space for them in our education system? How do we also look at various geographical regions like the villages or the very small towns? And very interestingly, this aspirational districts. So districts that are in under conflict, some of our states are conflict areas. And then, those areas where new curriculum can be introduced to bring more hope and new education into it are called aspirational districts. How can those be included into our into our education system? How can people of different disabilities be included in our education system? How can people from all kinds of vulnerable, low income households, beggars, orphans, victims of trafficking, all types of people, there is so much diversity in the people that we have. How can all of them uh, get equal opportunity to quality education? And that is the crux of our NEP. So yes, and now we can take a big deep breathe in and breathe out. Great. I'd like to take a pause here. You can read this slide and then we can go into some question and answers. So some of you asked the questions, how can teachers prepare for becoming more NEP compliant? The first step is that we all need to increase our content knowledge. And content knowledge does not just come from textbooks. We have to diversify the ways in which we learn. Looking at videos, reading other magazines, other websites, other books, all of it enriches our experience and our knowledge. Researching and use of NCERT books is a wonderful teaching resource that we all have at our fingertips. And as teachers, we should really be looking at them. We should be watching many videos to create a collection of ideas in our head. And when we have a lot of knowledge in our head, then we can actually use it in different ways at different times as needed. NEP states that all of us need to have, as teachers, all of us need to engage at least in 50 hours of continuous professional development. And it can be various workshops, like this is one of the workshops that you're attending. There can be other workshops such as this and other workshops which are more targeted to specific skills that we need to build. But whatever we do, continuous learning as educators is the key to doing anything well. Collaborating, talking to each other about a lesson. So many times on school grounds, we'll end up talking about everything else but education, but our lessons. But what if we could have discussions around our lessons with our colleagues? So the more we talk, the better we learn. And the others also learn from us, with us, and we can translate all of that into our classrooms. Integrated lessons and project-based learning, of course, we can talk more about it later in another session. But let us try new strategies and ideas in our classroom. and most importantly, give some ownership to students for their learning and not feel like we must captain every boat, because that is not possible and it is never the right strategy. If we want to build resilience and capacity in our schools, in our classrooms, we need to diversify and delegate all responsibility even to our students, so that we are not the only ones who are responsible for their learning and teaching, but they also can learn how to learn and how to teach each other. So now I'll stop sharing and I'll take some questions.
We can unmute teachers so they can raise their hands so I can unmute them.
Yeah, sure.
So teachers, we are requesting you to raise your hands if you want to ask any questions to Moona.
Okay. Yes. We have Mani Megalai. Please go ahead, ask your question.
Yes, we have unmuted them.
Sure.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for sharing all the interesting and valuable points. Um, my one query is that like we are modifying the system of learning, giving lot of ownerships to the students, also project based learning, experiential learning, which are all very essential for conceptual understanding. So, do we expecting a total changeover in the question paper pattern also? Because
I
our
think that
teaching is mostly now ultimately oriented towards mark and examination point of view. So please give us some insight about that also, the
so.
exam.
One thing I want to tell all the teachers is that none of this is getting implemented today. I think it's very beautifully laid out. It's only by 2030 that we'll have a complete overhaul of our education system. By then, we have this cushion period where we can upgrade us ourselves. And I'm telling you, as a teacher myself, when I upgrade myself, when I change my own pedagogy, then I no longer worry about the assessment, because then that just becomes part of the learning process. And assessment should really be that they should just be part of the learning process and not be seen as a standalone activity. So I would say let's give it some time and just first let's look at the pedagogies, look at the things that we're trying to do in our classroom. And yes.
Yes, ma'am, agree
Yes,
that.
Swati.
But I'm worried about class 10 and class 12 grade, where they are really, the board exam pattern comes. So other classes, I'm totally agreeing with you. It's a continuous assessment. We can, even a part of
Yeah.
experiential learning, we can do the assessment.
Right. So
Thank
that
you,
is
ma'am.
why I think these NEP sessions are becoming really important, because yes, in the next 2 to 3 years, the board patterns will change. And in
Change.
most probability, grade 10 board examination will dissolve and grade 12 examination will become easier than what it is right now, because we will have reduced syllabus. So actually, it will be advantageous to everybody. And it will not be as difficult as we think, and it will not be as sudden as we think. There will be a cushion of time that will be given to us to change and look at how we're teaching, so that we can help to prepare our children accordingly.
Absolutely right, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Very welcome. Yes, Swati?
Yeah. Swati ma'am, you can go ahead.
Yeah, hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, ma'am. So my question is regarding the senior students again. So these days we've been seeing that there's too much pressure on the students, especially the older students, let us say ninth standard onwards, regarding the competitive exams that we have, be it NEET or JEE or some other exams. So because of that, I mean, how does the NEP try to like bridge the gap? Why do students require to go to, coaching centers or tuitions or these things for the competitive exams? Why don't we, try and include them within the school itself, because they're already spending a lot of time in school, and then after school, if they have to go to, coaching centers, it takes a toll on them at some point. So, are there any
Swati, coaching
plans?
center is a personal choice. The
Right,
competitive examination board never says that you must go join a coaching center to appear for the competitive exam. I think
right,
it is a comfort that people feel when they go to a coaching center, that they have a higher chance of being successful. I also know of many students who've not been to any coaching center, and they've still cleared their examination.
correct,
So
right.
perhaps I think it might be a choice that is made because maybe both the parents are working, long hours and maybe are not home, or maybe the school curriculum does not match with the competitive exam syllabus. So there are several complexities such as this. But ultimately, I think if somebody wants to really get into a competitive exam, I don't think it's a requirement per se to join a coaching center.
Right, right. Yeah. So I'm not saying that it's a requirement, but we've been seeing this as a pattern. Probably, my question is more like, how do we educate parents to stop pressurizing their kids so much? So because as teachers, we also feel responsible towards the mental well-being of our students. So at some point, it
Absolutely.
becomes difficult to convince parents that it is taking a toll on your child because they don't
I
agree
did,
to these
yes,
things.
Swati. I just recently did a very wonderful workshop on so it was a parent workshop on understanding the pressures that children are feeling these days. So I think a lot of education, when we are thinking of upgrading ourselves, when we think of upgrading the students, there's a lot of need to upgrade the understanding of the education landscape for the parents as well. So, I mean, where else will parents get their education from if not from schools? So I think
Exactly.
schools also do have the responsibility of holding parental workshops and talking about such key issues so that there's a dialogue. Even if there's a dialogue, there's a chance for them to think and look at various other possibilities. So
Correct.
we can just take one last question and then we'll move on to the next part of our presentation and the session. Yes, Dr. Nand Kishore.
Hello, madam.
Hello, sir.
Nowadays, government is trying to get onto the track of the privatization of the school.
Hmm.
So, how to survive Marathi medium schools?
Sir, I don't know where you got that information, but that's totally contrary to what I know and I've heard. Because the national education policy, in fact, is promoting a lot of government schools and a lot of non-government schools as well, plus alternate type of schools also. So uh, I think the new NEP, the new education policy, is in fact promoting different types of school systems.
2012 से मैडम टीचर्स स्कूल में नहीं है और सब लोड जो वर्किंग अभी कर रहे हैं काम उन्हीं पे आ रहा है सब लोड.
Okay, sir. I think maybe we can take it offline if you want to discuss this further, because I think this will require a different dialogue with you. I'm really sorry that we can't do it on this forum, but we'd love to have that dialogue with you. Okay, shall we continue with our session? Okay, thank you. Okay, I like to now introduce. Yes, I like to now introduce my colleague Sarita to take on this part of the session.
Thank you, Mona. At the start of the session, Mona did mention experiential learning. So today we'll delve a bit into it, at least skim the surface, and we'll see how that goes. So I'm sure this quote is self-explanatory. Mona, I would like to skip this for now. I'm sure we know this too. You can just watch the slide and learn a lot. And that is also something that you can use in the classroom. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Just watching that picture, observing that picture, and having a discussion around it itself is a tool that we can use in our classrooms. So when we spoke of ownership for children,
to take on the role of active learning. We have several ideas here where all sorts of learners are engaged in activities because they are hands-on and because they are experiential. So you can see the slide which says children as city planners, because they planned their own city after they learned about urban development. So when that happens, the focus is on ingraining the concepts, and it's more because it's kinesthetic, it is a long-term learning. Geography, especially map work and cartography, can be a little intimidating for teachers as well as children. So how do you make that fun? Through experiences. So children learn to make their own maps through project-based learning, or as a part of a history component where you can have a connection with geography in that. And they can, even look at these old maps, which we do with art integration. This is with coffee painting. So there's so many things that we can do to have children enthused about what they're learning. And it also becomes NEP compliant as we have integration of various aspects in our curriculum. Children as builders. They are our nation's future. So yes, they are the builders. And when they work with their hands, there's a lot that they learn. It's a permanent learning.
That is a fort that they had created when they were learning about Shivaji and the Maratha Empire. Yes.
So a lot of aspects about the fort is also about why, this is the treasury and why that is the fortress part of it. So it's very interesting. As they build it, they learn different aspects about it. Children as time travelers, going back in time, putting yourself in the shoes of that particular person, of that particular leader, and then figuring and building perspective. So how do we do this? Sounds maybe a lot, but when we break it down, it gets much easier. Yeah. So as I just said, sometimes just observing a picture, just reading the headline of an article, just reading a question in a dictionary, in an encyclopedia, just flipping to a page in a dictionary and picking a new word is a way to start a discussion. A lot of things that we spoke of is about relevance to everyday life. How do I make it more relevant and relatable to me? So a topic that connects to the child's life, to the life around the school, is something that they can relate to and work on it with more depth. Take your class outside. A lot of us are in schools which are brick and mortar. Maybe this is something that we are easily able to say. As you can see, we just have trees all around us. But yeah, when you take your classroom outside, there's so much to observe in nature. Even if you're sitting in your football field, there's a lot to observe. And just that shift from a regular bench and desk kind of classroom to sitting down on the floor or maybe sitting on the bleachers in the football field has a different experience for children.
Going on study tours, Sarita.
Yeah. Taking the class outside also includes study tours and field trips. So a trip to a museum, a trip to maybe a historical place in the city is also cultural immersion and local immersion.
Correct.
And here we have interactive read alouds. Many a times children do silent reading, but a read aloud with expression also gives more excitement for children to learn something new in the class. Just a few days ago, we had rains here in Pune, and thanks to the cyclonic activity which is coming up. So there was a lesson planned. Instead of doing that lesson plan, we just sat and watched the clouds and then went to the IMD site, the Indian Meteorology Department site online. And, we watched the formation of the cyclone. So they were able to figure the low pressure areas, the high pressure areas. And I think that learning was something so beautiful. And the children predicted that it would rain on Sunday evening, and it did. So they were very happy when they came here on Monday morning, saying that our prediction came true. Hands-on experiences, of course, we've been speaking it all along, where working with your hands kinesthetically is what strengthens the learning.
And we have some examples here, Sarita, from our classrooms.
That's right. I won't say
So
anything. I think we can just observe and move on.
what can be a topic for this?
So sometimes just leaving a book on the table, an encyclopedia on the table or in the classroom, leaving a certain scientific toy and letting them just explore is the biggest way to get children to get curious. And I think we get terrified of leaving things and going, but I think that's the best way to learn. As we said earlier, a personal picture that you have taken of something happening in your city. This is the river in Pune. A teacher took the picture because it's right outside her building, and the whole discussion was about pollution, land pollution, water pollution, air pollution, the whole thing, and what is the state of the river. This is when you actually experience the learning. So you can see that the children are looking at plant growth, and every day that they saw the change, they would log in the diagram. So this is a diagram over 3 to 4 weeks, and every part of it comes as the plant grows. Technology, of course, we use it in for ample occasions. Here it's about animals. And it's a personal experience. A child who went to Kenya shared that experience with the class. With your hands. They grew the methi, the fenugreek, and then made theplas out of it. So it was cultural immersion as well as learning to make dough and roll out very beautiful chapatis. So this is about a literature circle that's going on. The children have chosen a book to read for over a month, and they will have different aspects of that book coming up as posters, as reflective notes, as grammar exercises, and much more. So they are sitting and planning an entire project here through the literature circle. Come on. I'm sure we can strain our eyes a bit to see that they are beautiful Ganpatis that have been made. Again, cultural immersion for Ganeshotsav, which is a big festival in Pune. And they've made it with natural materials so that we walk the talk, we advocate sustainability. And this has been made not with river clay, because again, it's all about the river and how much can we not use the river for our means and again go and pollute it. So this has been made with other materials which are natural, and it was a beautiful exercise for the children to work with this new material.
In fact, Sarita, I just want to say very quickly that when we were deciding which materials to go for in using for a Ganpati, we experimented with various things, including the children, and then we came up with this new material, which was just regular soil, in which we plant our plants, and added coconut husk to it. So the nariyal, the husk of the nariyal in it to give it that fiber and to be able to hold it. So that was really beautiful. A new material was created in the process.
This is again Dahi Handi Janmashtami that happens on campus. And on the right, you can see what Mona just spoke of the husk. The same husk has been removed and used to make the rakhis and dyed with natural dyes, like it's pomegranate, it's beetroot, mehendi. They've used natural dyes and haldi. And, that's something to also promote sustainability, that you don't need chemical colors to make your rakhis. Growing food is something that is, I think, essential as resources get far and few over time, and it's good to learn to to grow your own food and also then cook it, of course. And here you can see they're making the fort. Um, they're creating the fort bit by bit, and the children keep learning aspects about it. So yeah, these are the ideas on a single slide for all of you all to see. Mona?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have enough time to do an activity. It will be a 10-minute activity. It will be good for everybody to get into smaller groups and then do and try to implement what we have learned so far today. So now we'll embark on a group activity. I hope everybody is good with that and excited. Great. Thank you. Okay. So instructions for group activity. We will be putting you all in a breakout room. It will be a random allocation. So don't worry about it. It's only a 10-15 minute activity. So you will go to your breakout room where you will have your group slide deck, which is basically, yeah, group one will have a particular slide deck and so forth. And then in your group, there will be 9 to 10, or depending on the number of participants, we have about 10 people per group. And then you have to actually do this activity. Ajay, do you want to show the activity, or I can actually show this activity here? Yeah. So this is a group work and sorry. Yeah. So this is a group activity and a reflection session. You also see that at the bottom, we've hyperlinked the NCERT math textbook and the NCERT science textbook. If you'd like to go into your groups and have a look at them, you're most welcome to do. But what you need to do is that in a breakout room, you will be collaborating with your group members to complete the task on the next slide. So you will be using the ideas from the presentation, and it has also been hyperlinked for you, and complete the questions on the next slide. So these are the various groups that we have created. Because we are about 130 people, and so we have about 12 groups, Ajay. And so we have 3 groups for STEM, a group for inclusive learning practices, a group for entrepreneurship education, a group for cultural immersion, connect with local environment, storytelling and role play, multilingualism 1 and 2. So 2 groups for that, health and well-being, and bagless days. And what do you have to do? So first, you have to answer the question, what it means. Second, you have to answer the question, ways to implement that topic into your classroom through experiential learning or through any other method that you want. And the slide deck that we are using, I was using to talk about NEP, and that Sarita was talking about using for experiential learning. It is hyperlinked right here. So, and then you have to write down a key takeaway from this session that you will bring into your daily practice. And there is a slide right next to it, which is right here. So when you go to your breakout room, each one of you will receive your customized slide, your deck, your PPT. You have to write down the group number and names of the participants. So all those who are in that group, you have to write down the name of your topic, what it means to you, how will you implement it in your classroom through experiential learning, and your key takeaway from this session that you will practice in your daily life, in your classroom. Correct, Ajay?
Yes. So I think what we should do is that we should give them the link to this presentation that you just showed. That way they can go on to the slide that has got the different groups there, and based upon the room that they are in. So it is room 1, room 2, room 3. So there are 12 rooms. So based on the room, they can then just go ahead and use that particular deck. So STEM 1 will be room 1, STEM 2, room 2, STEM 3 will be room 3, and so on and so forth.
Sorry to interrupt, Mona. Can you also, tell this instruction in Hindi? So because many of the teachers, they have joined from rural part of Maharashtra, so it would be helpful.
Also, I want to ask you, Prachi, that do you think we have enough time for this activity?
So we have around, we can take around 15 minutes if,
Okay.
that is enough.
Okay.
And then we can
All right.
have around 5 minutes for the post test, followed by that.
So I will again share the slide and I will talk in Hindi about it. Okay, so हमें क्या करना है? हम ब्रेकआउट रूम्स में जाएंगे. ब्रेकआउट रूम में जब आप जाएंगे तो आपको ये एक पीपीटी पे मिलजुल के काम करना है. इस पीपीटी में आपको क्या करना है? आप जब एक ग्रुप में जाएंगे तो आप अपने ग्रुप मेंबर्स के साथ बातें करेंगे. आप अगर ग्रुप 1 में है तो आपको स्टेम कोई भी आप एक सब्जेक्ट ले सकते हैं. स्टेम में साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी, इंजीनियरिंग, मैथमेटिक्स, एनी वन टॉपिक यू कैन टेक. एंड आपको आपकी स्लाइड पे इन 3 क्वेश्चंस के मतलब के जवाब लिखने हैं कि वो आप स्टेम से क्या समझते हैं, आप इसको अपने क्लासरूम में कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं एक्सपीरियंशियल तरीके से, और आपने इस सेशन में आज क्या सीखा जो आप अपनी प्रैक्टिस में लेकर आएंगे. तो यहाँ पे बहुत सारे टॉपिक्स दिए गए हैं और अलग अलग ब्रेकआउट रूम के अलग अलग टॉपिक्स हैं, सो दैट एवरीबडी इज नॉट वर्किंग ऑन द सेम टॉपिक. तो इसके बाद हर एक ग्रुप का एक पीपीटी होगा और आपको ये आंसर्स लिखने हैं. तो मान लीजिए आप ग्रुप 4 में हैं, तो ग्रुप 4 का टॉपिक है इंक्लूसिव लर्निंग प्रैक्टिसेस. तो आप यहाँ पे जाएंगे आपकी पीपीटी में, यहाँ पे आप लिखेंगे ग्रुप 4 और आपके सारे ग्रुप मेंबर्स के नाम, और फिर आप लिखेंगे कि आप क्या समझते हैं इस टॉपिक से, इंक्लूसिव लर्निंग प्रैक्टिसेस से आप क्या समझते हैं, व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम दैट, and how will you include that in your classroom. You can write down a few activities that you will do to include this idea into your classroom. And then you will think about in your group, आप आपस में डिस्कस करके ये लिखेंगे कि आपने आज के सेशन से क्या एक चीज सीखी जो आप अपनी क्लासरूम में राइट अवे यूज कर सकते हैं. बस आपको सिर्फ इतना ही काम करना है और फिर हम वापस यहाँ पर आके एक क्लोजिंग करेंगे. आपको क्लियर है? Okay, good. So Ajay, let's have our breakout rooms, please.
Okay, so I will open them up right now. तो मतलब ये कैसे होगा जरा सबको बता दो कि मतलब उनके पास इनवाइट आएगा, तो जो इनवाइट आएगा उसी ब्रेकआउट रूम में आपको जाना है. इज दैट क्लियर?
हाँ. तो अजय हम रैंडमली ही हम डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करें ना लोगों को.
करेक्ट.
हाँ,
करेक्ट. तो मतलब ये जब मैं रूम खोलूंगा तो वो क्या था, ये रैंडमली सबको असाइन कर देगा एक रूम में.
कोई भी अलग अलग रूम में आप सब असाइंड हो जाएंगे और फिर उस रूम में आप चले जाइएगा. आपके पास एक मैसेज आएगा, यू आर असाइंड टू रूम नंबर 3, यू आर असाइंड टू रूम नंबर 10, ऐसे आपके पास मैसेज आएगा. तो आप उस रूम को जाके क्लिक करके उसको ज्वाइन कर लीजिए.
तो एक काम करो, तुम ये जो तुमने पीपीटी दिखाया था ना, इसका तुम लिंक अभी चैट में डाल दो जिससे कि पीपल कैन गेट दैट लिंक.
अच्छा, ओके अजय.
Okay, so as soon as I open the link or open the rooms, everybody will get a link.
हाँ अजय, then let me first put it in the chat.
Please. Okay, shall I open the rooms?
मैंने डाल दिया है चैट में इसका लिंक.
Okay. Okay, I have opened up all the rooms and you all should get an invite.
So there is a message in chat box that, sir, I'm not getting any invite.
Oh, okay. Who is this?
This is Sarita Sharma.
Sarita Sharma. Sarita, so I see you are.
Teachers, we are seeing that many of you are leaving the meeting. Please make people who will be submitting the pre and post test, both only will be getting the certificate. So please.
Oh no, they're not leaving the meeting. I think they're going into the breakout rooms.
They are going to the breakout room.
So it says left here. I was worried. Okay, no worries.
Ajay, we had copies. We had made copies of this PPT, right? We didn't share those with them.
No. So the copies are there. So in that link document that you have sent, each one has a hyperlink.
Acha.
So
Ha,
they
ha,
go
ha.
they go
I
and
hope
click it
we
and
didn't
they will
tell
go.
it to them. We didn't tell it to them.
Okay, so we can broadcast a message. I'm just doing a message right now, broadcasting.
Hmm.
And I'm just joining the rooms maybe to guide them.
Sure. I'll also go.
A couple of rooms. So actually, few of them they have not started the filling the PPT. Few
Yeah,
are
I see.
discussing and figuring out. So I'm
I
not sure.
feel we won't have enough time to do this activity.
Yeah, might be.
So then we don't have to do it. It's okay. We can plan a session 2 for this or something.
Sure. Or
And
maybe
then,
we can circulate it as an assignment. So let them come back. They can find like anyway we have a WhatsApp group, so they can form a group internally, and that can be done, or they can submit it individual also.
sure, we can do that. I think it's better to close on time because everybody's already had a long day.
Yeah,
And
yeah. True. Maybe
yeah,
a broadcast message may help. So if Ajay can send an broadcast message, we'll return in back in 2 minutes. So though
Okay.
in those room who are actively involved in this discussion, they get this
yeah,
Slack.
yes,
They have to return back. Yeah.
yes. Thank you. I think most people are back in this room now.
Yes.
That's okay. I understand. We also wanted to really respect that you all have had a long day and it's 5:30. I'm sure you all want to go back to your families. And I think that is the right thing to do at this time of day. So this assignment can wait, and we will either send it to you as an assignment that you can do on your own, or we can send it to you, or we can create a second session where you can come back and do it in your groups. So, whatever. I think I will let PKC decide that.
Yes, as Mona said, we can take this assignment offline. We can put it on the WhatsApp group also, so that the teachers will be able to fill it, the Google Doc which was
Yes.
shared. So yes. Yeah, so many of the teachers are asking that, whether the recording would be shared of this session, they liked it, and so on. So yes.
I would like to know, Prachi, what is their takeaway from it, at least since we're not doing the assignment. I mean, I know that I went on and on about the NEP, but because I have been to several NEP sessions and nowhere I've understood it. So I thought maybe explaining it properly to the teachers might be a good step, but I'd like to hear from them about whether the session was useful to them and how useful it was for them.
Yes, definitely. So maybe participants, you can raise your hands if you want to say, something about the session,
Yes.
about your
Yeah.
feedback.
So they can unmute one by one, and yeah.
So Sushma Sardana ma'am, you can unmute yourself. You can also on your video so that we can see you.
Sorry, I won't be able to switch on my video.
That's
It's
fine,
4
ma'am.
o'clock
It's
here.
okay.
I'm from Toronto right now, talking from Toronto right now.
Wow.
And I'm a research scholar from Delhi, and I'm working on STEM education. And I was very curious to know what's happening over there. And here I'm with schools, STEM schools as well as regular schools of all levels in Chicago as well as in Toronto. And ma'am, I congratulate you for holding such a wonderful session. What you're talking about NEP is what we are doing here also.
Yes.
And so it's really wonderful to know that we Indians are really excelling in everything. And ma'am, you talk about experiential learning, and you're talking about the other aspect, like basically you're talking about competence-based learning also,
Yes.
context-based learning. Also, everything you're talking without taking names. So that's so wonderful for all of us. So I would like to continue, this discussion. Now the time is less. So very good. My only worry is about the overcrowded classrooms of India, especially in rural, part of India, where there are less of teachers right now. Some sir were talking about it. Some teachers have been left. How do we manage with lesser people? So that is my major concern about
Absolutely.
education. We're talking about such innovation in NEP. So ambitious we are. I mean, very good ideas, but how to carry it out? That is
No,
the
so
basic thing.
actually, yes. Sushma ji, you are right about this. And in fact, our population is a wonderful, now we are officially the most populous country in the world. And hence, of course, we will run into these issues. But there are many programs that are now developing where we are recruiting teachers into the education system, where teachers are more and more people are actually opting for B.Ed than any other profession. So I think giving another year to this whole thing, it will be good.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that we all will manage to survive it. And I'm sure with all the efforts that experts like you are making and teachers like these, who are such wonderful people, how they are, how informed they are. And even I take workshops. I mean, everybody is so involved. I'm sure we'll make it a success. Together we'll make it a
Absolutely.
success. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Ji.
Can I add something here?
Thanks, Sushma ma'am. Yes,
Can I add something here?
yes.
I'm Dipali Akolkar. I'm working on this NEP concept, not exactly NEP concept, but multi-intelligence development concept from past 8 years. And this NEP has come now. So I'm very glad that finally it has started reaching our schools. And the problem that I see that, as ma'am discussed, that there are very less teachers and more of students and crowded classrooms and all that. So I guess if we can make groups throughout the country, if we can make groups of teachers who are teaching that particular subject, and if we can share the resources, as in some person has developed some activity, other person has developed some other activity on the other topic, so that if we can share those kind of resources with each other, then everyone will not be spending too much time on doing all those stuff, and we will have lots of things to work on and lots of activities readily available, so that we can pick those activities and start doing those activities. So it will save time, plus most of the activities will be available on internet or maybe on some portal or something. So even in rural areas, that can be reached out, like those activities can be reached out, like,
No,
and
you are
everyone will be.
absolutely right, actually. And there was a slide in which we spoke about what role schools are playing now. So
Mhm.
we are looking at actually creating clusters of schools which share. I have been thinking so much about this idea. I even floated it out to a few people. I just need to spend some more time and see how this can even happen.
Yes,
So
right.
thank you for
Yeah,
sharing it.
yeah, maybe outreach activities can be a good idea. Like you were saying, Samajik Suchna Kendra, you said that after school activities can be done. And those who are really have very good aptitude for some particular kind of activity, they can join in rather than the whole class. Maybe, if 10 children out of 50 would like to come for some STEM activity after school, if they're really interested, they will definitely come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there needs to be a platform. There
Good
needs to be
evening,
a
ma'am.
space where something like this can be happen.
Hello,
Good
ma'am.
evening. Yes.
Sorry,
Hello, ma'am.
can
Hi.
I?
I'm from Chennai.
Okay.
Hello.
May I continue?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I am calling from Chennai. It was a very wonderful session. Especially this bagless days is a wonderful idea.
It is.
We do, 1 or 2 days we do have planned, and we teach them skills, learning different skills like handwriting camp, reading camp, and maybe, dance also, yoga, like that we tried on Saturdays for half a day. But having eventually some days as a bagless days on a routine basis, definitely it will help the students. And peer group learning also, you insisted that, responsibilities given to share, that also will be very helpful, and we can develop that, I think. In the future, they need to concentrate and focus on themselves, then depending on the elders. Both the parents working now and the teachers are busy in catering so many people, that will really enhance. And after school hours also is a wonderful idea, though we make them to learn, it is it should be spent on developing the talents and nurturing them. And another one, I like it, taking them out and having the classrooms outside the, classrooms under the garden or under the tree, like olden days, Gurukul. It will be a wonderful thing, ma'am. It was a very wonderful session. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Ma'am,
so much.
Namaste, ma'am. I actually have just like a few thoughts. My name is Mithila Ketkar, and I'm speaking from Pune. I just have, a few collective thoughts to put forth. I really this is the third NEP session that I'm attending from, different people who are talking about it, and the issues of and the points laid out are wonderful. And as a science maths teacher for an good number of years now, I've seen that in this rush to get activities done, the way teachers are being burnt out, and I really think our entire system of education will see a real shift. One, like how Sushma ma'am said, one is number of students in a classroom, that is overcrowded classrooms. We need a higher man force to actually cater to a large education system and number of students that we are talking about at a national level. Because
Absolutely.
expecting a teacher standing from 7 o'clock in the morning from the morning assembly to drag herself all the way till after school activities is absolutely lethal from a point of not looking at the well-being of the teacher. Of course, we are trying to bring the best for our children, and as a very passionate teacher myself, I have pushed every ounce of energy I have in my system for my students till now. But I really feel that teachers being, even parents being more informed. One, I think the NEP, the primary thing the NEP is trying to achieve is reduce the syllabus. I think once the syllabus is reduced, the parents will be off the hook also to get children to overperform. Two, I think when the activities that we are talking about are also assessed, it's not only just an added activity, but how the child is thinking, how the child is performing in a group, all of these things become part of the assessment. And it's not just the intellectual part of it, ki concept mein kitna samajh aaya. When we start looking at assessment holistically, that's when our education will change holistically, is what I truly feel. The session was wonderful, ma'am. I had a lot of points to take away. And I really feel that, at a systemic level, when we make a change, I think at the actual intelligence and holistic part of it will also change, ma'am, actually. So just things I
Hello,
wanted
ma'am.
to share. Yeah.
Hello. Hello,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
I am speaking from Aurangabad, Sanskriti Chandel.
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am, we can hear you. Sanskriti, ma'am, we can hear you.
मुझे थोड़ा सा दालिमा मैम को एक मैसेज देना था. Is she on
Yes.
the meeting? Yes.
Yeah, she's there on the meeting. Please go ahead.
सेशन बहुत अच्छा हुआ है. सेशन मैंने पहली बार NEP सेशन अटेंड किया, एक फ्रेंड के थ्रू लिंक आई थी, तो बहुत ही बढ़िया लगा. बस एक ही चीज बोलूंगी कि मैम का जो स्कूल है, मुझे उसको और एक्सप्लोर करना लग रहा है. मुझे तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि मेरी पूरी टीम को लेके मैं विजिट करूं, और उससे रिलेटेड मुझे एक यूट्यूब,
कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं.
यस, उनका कोई यूट्यूब चैनल होगा, या उनके साइंस टीचर्स किस तरीके से एक्टिविटी लेते हैं, क्योंकि थियोरेटिकल ट्रेनिंग ना बहुत होती है. मतलब सिस्टम्स एंड पॉलिसीज वगैरह के बारे में अभी हमारी तो वरिष्ठ श्रेणी ट्रेनिंग हुई, उसमें भी हमने यही सब चीजें सुनी है. तो मुझे ये चाहिए था कि एक्टिविटी चाहिए मुझे, जो मैं बच्चों को करके दिखा सकूं, मैं वैसा मटेरियल तैयार कर सकूं. तो मुझे इनका यूट्यूब चैनल होगा, या व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में अगर वो साइंस टीचर्स की एक्टिविटी डाल सके, क्लास 9th के लिए, 8th के लिए, 7th के लिए, तो ये बहुत बड़ा ट्रेजर होगा, और इसको मुझे एक्सप्लोर करना लग रहा है.
Definitely, Sanskriti. I think we can plan some of these things. And I think the evening is
Hello,
like.
ma'am. यस,
I think
मैम से यही रिक्वेस्ट रहेगी कि अगर वो कोई कम्युनिटी बनाए या ग्रुप बनाए व्हाट्सएप का जिसमें हम टीचर्स को ज्वाइन कर लें, तो उनके थ्रू हम ट्रेंड होना चाहते हैं, तो हम भी वैसी एक्टिविटीज दिखाएंगे। उसी तरीके से मैं ग्रीन स्कूल बिल्कुल ग्रीनरी के थ्रू ऐसा करना चाहती हूँ। और साइंस टीचर क्या टॉपिक्स पढ़ाते हैं और किस तरीके से वो एक्टिविटी कराते हैं, वेस्ट से कुछ यूजफुल बना रहे हैं या फिर उनके पास कैसे किट है, मुझे वो आइडिया चाहिए था।
हेलो मैम।
जरूर संस्कृति जी, हाँ हम करते हैं, हम एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप बनाएंगे। आई विल रिक्वेस्ट प्राची टू हेल्प विद दिस। दिस इज वंडरफुल टू सी द एक्साइटमेंट इन लर्निंग एंड
ये
मे बी
बहुत
प्राची वी
जेन्युइन रिक्वेस्ट है मैम, क्योंकि मैं ऐसा कुछ प्लेटफॉर्म ढूंढ रही थी, कोई ऐसा मिले जो हमको आइडिया दे, क्योंकि ना आइडिया कम पड़ रहे हैं हम टीचर्स के लिए। कहीं ना कहीं यूट्यूब में भी इतना कुछ नहीं है और इतना सब खुलता है, तो क्या क्या करे, तो हमको एक पैकेज मिल जाएगा ना, तो आपका नॉलेज आगे बढ़ेगा बस।
So
Hello.
as Mona suggested, what we will do is,
आप ये जरूर
Gayatri, can
करेंगे
you please
संस्कृति, आप
share
कह रही
the
हैं।
जी मैम जी,
WhatsApp?
थैंक यू मैम।
Yes, sorry.
ओके मैम, ग्रेट टू सी यू एंड टॉक टू यू, थैंक यू मैम।
थैंक यू
Ma'am, can I have a word with you? It's Abha Gautam.
Sure. Abha, Prachi, shall we take one last?
Yeah, maybe we can take one last and then we will.
This is the last, and then we should end. Yes.
In
now.
interest of
Sure,
time,
Abha.
we know that you are all excited to share your thoughts. Yeah.
I would actually, Prachi, if you can just, I would love to have just a platform where we can just talk.
Sure.
Teachers don't even get anyone to talk with. Why are we always learning? Why can't we sometimes just sit and talk? So
that
can you
also
please
is-
organize a few sessions where
Definitely.
we all just come together and talk and share our ideas and talk to our heart content?
Sure.
Okay, Abha, go ahead. We can listen to you.
So, ma'am, I have thank you so much for this wonderful session. I have attended so many workshops on NEP, but this is the most interesting session I've ever come across. Now, my only concern when we are talking about this NEP thing, so NCRT is playing a very important role, and they after COVID era, they are having this racialized syllabus, in the structure. When we teach, for example, if I'm telling students that this is the linear pair angle concept for students, but then that is being deleted, and I have to teach that particular topic where the previous chapter has been deleted, but in the next chapter we are going to talk about that particular thing in one line or two lines. Then they are seeing that, in 12th standard, even if you are not having biology, you can be doctors because we have this interdisciplinary approach. But then they are in contrary, this is the irony of the situation, that they are having those entrance exams which require, certain guidelines, the criteria, which is not going hand in hand. So what do you have to say on this?
Who is they?
NEP, the people who have designed NEP and the pointers which we are having, the system has to be more streamlined, right? There are
So
some.
I think Abha, I think your question is a bit larger. Maybe if you can, I can post my number in the chat box. You guys, you can send me a personal message on this and maybe send me a picture of what you're talking about, because that will help me to understand. And then perhaps I can answer your question better.
All right.
I am just putting my number in the chat. Yeah.
Okay.
I've just done that.
Okay. So, Mona and other members from DLRC, is it okay if we also add you to the group which we have made with the teachers?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
We'd
then
love
maybe
that.
that can be our forum to discuss. We want to take this discussion.
Yeah. So actually, Prachi, what's been missing, no? So we've done several sessions on NEP, and always when you bring such a beautiful idea or an aspiration for all of us to meet at some point, it's natural for all of us to have so many questions. But often we are left high and dry with no one to talk to about what we are feeling, how we can move forward, or where we can take it. So I think it is about time that we created this platform. And we're very happy. All three of us would love to be. In fact, even Garima from our team is here. So all four of us would like to be on that WhatsApp group and discuss as much as possible.
Ma'am, even I would like to be there.
Absolutely. Everybody can be there. I think the entire country can be there. I think the more we
Yes,
share.
ma'am. I would also like to join, ma'am.
Okay, so there is a link in the chat box. We have put the link in the chat box, which if you click on that link, you will go to the WhatsApp. group automatically.
Okay,
And
thank you.
we will
And did
also
you all
maybe
receive
share
my
it on
number
a
also? Yeah,
mm,
you can also have my number.
yeah, there is also number given.
Yeah. So we have also
So-
shared a post-test link in the chat box. So those teachers who have not submitted it, please
Yes.
copy it and save it somewhere, because we are closing this session in another 5 minutes. So you can submit it by 6 o'clock or so. That is okay.
Yes, so as you know, as we have been telling that we also will be giving certificates, and for that it is mandatory for you to fill the pre and post test both. So please make sure that you're filling the both the tests. And yeah, so thank you so much, members from DLRC, Mona, Ajay, and Sarita ma'am. It was a wonderful session. It was a great discussion on NEP, and as you know, that is a lot of questions, lot of people want to talk about what they are feeling about NEP, how they can implement it in their schools, and what are the challenges basically. So every school, every teacher wants to try out NEP, but every school has its own challenges. Every school has its
Yes,
own issue.
correct.
But we will have to think of some golden ratio for ourselves as teachers. So we will
Yes.
have to think what works for me. Maybe whatever works for DLRC may not work for a Zilla Parishad school which is there in Pune, may not work for any international school which is there. So the idea is same, but how it has to be implemented in your school, that matters a lot, and that we have to find it out together. So maybe we can have further more discussions on the group where we can together solve this problem that has been their problem, challenge, whatever we say to that. But yeah, thank you so much for a
So
great
Prachi,
session.
actually, the scope of this session should have that element where we take it forward to the point where every school, ultimately every school, and to begin with, those schools who are part of this group are comfortable implementing NEP in their schools.
Yes.
So we have a really beautiful flow of how this can happen. And again, like on the group, maybe we can perhaps have a series of sessions
Series
in
of
which we
sessions.
can take up one component of NEP in every session and then see, and then,
Yeah.
we'll see how it can be done.
Great.
Ma'am,
So once the
actually,
teacher-
one word can I have?
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, actually, I want to learn from Mona ma'am that she mentioned something, for every subject class, the corresponding experiential learning class also is formulated in the timetable. So
Yes.
that is the one thing, it's really, really taking to that, real essence of learning. We
Actually,
are
it
all
all
very
depends.
hard
Yeah.
pressed with the time for completing the syllabus.
Mani,
So
I
this is
just
a
want
very
to,
good system.
yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Mani, I just want to end this session by saying only one thing. And thank you, Prachi, and thank you, PKC. And now we can close after this. I think if we want to do something, we
Yes.
have to create time for it in our system, into the timetable. And that is where everything begins to change. As soon as you put, uh, uh, for example, as soon as you put an hour of learning for the teachers into the timetable, then the time has been slotted, you will begin doing it. As soon as you put 4 sports period in the timetable, suddenly more sports is happening in your school. So please, I hope everybody will at least take this as a takeaway, is to
Yes,
look
ma'am.
at
That
the
is
timetable and see how you can allocate time for all kinds of types of learning and all types of subjects that you can begin to implement.
yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you, everybody.
That is
Thank you
my
very much.
biggest
Have a
takeaway,
wonderful
ma'am.
Yes, have a wonderful
We
evening.
can wait for 2 minutes. Like we can
Yes.
have a group
Yeah, we will
photo,
have to
which
have
we
a
can post it on social
group
media.
photo.
Yeah. So
So
we
maybe we
request
can all-
participant to turn on their cameras.
Yes, and I thank all the participants for joining and enthusiastically participating in all the interactions that are going on regarding the session. So Gayatri, let us know when we are done.
Yes.
Many of the teachers are our regular visitors for all our sessions, so thank you.
Yeah, and just one more announcement, like in the next month on 20th of December, we'll have a hands-on training workshop at Muktangan Exploratory. So we'll be sending this announcement in our group. So you can submit your registration form, and it will be on the first come first serve basis, as there are limited capacity. So for the first batch, so maybe once we send the link in the WhatsApp group, you can submit your response so that we'll make. I mean, there are 50 seats only, so by next week you will get all the information. So if you are interested, please register. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah, thank
everyone.
you.
Okay,
Thanks.
ma'am.
We are
Thank
closing
you.
the
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.